Hello, everyone. This is Vernon again, and this is part 11 of Chasing Time Travelers. So, in our last episode, part 10, I talked to you about the tic-tac-toe boards in at Chichen Itza. What I forgot to mention is that not only are there dual tic-tac-toe boards with the same um, arrangement of X's and O's, but there's also a thing in the middle of some sort of symbol or hieroglyphics, and which I assume means makes reference to the equator. In other words, my theory again is that Chichen Itza is a map of the western hemisphere of the world, um, and and my argument is that that's why they're showing us the Tropic of Cancer and the Tropic of Capricorn and the equator. The problem is I can't prove that that little squiggly line thing in between the two tic-tac-toe boards represents the equator because I spoke to the top Mayan archaeologists on the planet, and one of the guys said, well, this was back in 2018. He said, well, we don't know how to read the hieroglyphics, the Mayan hieroglyphics in the northern part of the Yucatan. And I said, what do you mean? Because I'm thinking all that stuff's a done deal a long time ago. And he said, no. He said we can read the ones in um, the southern Yucatan, like in Guatemala, Tikal and places like that, but not the ones that he specifically said, not the ones at Chichen Itza. He probably said not the ones at Ekbalam or Tulum, and uh, and I'm pretty sure he said they couldn't read the ones at Mayapan, but I'm not sure. In any case, so yeah, sometimes I'm tempted to take a real course in Mayan hieroglyphics, and but I don't know. Anyway, let's move on with this. So again, the rationale for letting x equal 10 for the tic-tac-toe board was that the tic-tac-toe board is located in the part of the world that, according to my map theory, represents the Roman Empire, which is where tic-tac-toe came from. So my interpretation is that it's the in quotes the time traveler or the map maker or the architect, whatever I call them different names, and that was their way of saying wink wink nod nod. Here's what this means. And again, the 985 was the amount of years that the Roman Empire lasted. Let's talk about PVB now, and this will be a short video, a short presentation. So Pantelleria Vecchia Bank. So there's Pantelleria Vecchia, and then there's Pantelleria Vecchia Bank. So the Pantelleria Vecchia is an island that's still there, but PVB um, sank a long time ago. So the part that you're looking at in the red circle, that that thing, I'll call it well, it's a bank, right? I guess that means it's a protrusion, like a peninsula, but that's not really firmly connected to the mainland. Well, it sank basically 10,000 years ago. So roughly 9,000 years before the Mayas put it on their map, that island sank. And so the question is, how did they know that there had been an island on the other side of the world, right? Because these guys are in Chichen Itza, and they made this map of the Western Hemisphere, and they show this island where we don't have one today, and but it had sank 9,000 years before they put it on the map. So I'm wondering how they knew that. Maybe it was a lucky guess. Um, when I wrote my first book about the Mayan map, it was, let's see, I wrote it in 20, I published it, I self-published it in 2013, and that was Amazon, I guess. Yeah, Amazon. And 2 years later, I'm sorry, let me back up. In 2013, I said, according to the Mayan map, and I'm paraphrasing, I said, according to the Mayan map, there was once an island off the west coast of Sicily with a Stonehenge on it. right? I said there was once an island off the west coast of Sicily with a Stonehenge on it. Anyone can look up, my book, preferably buy it. I mean, I'm not saying that to get you to buy it. But I do, but I'm just making a point. 2 years later, in 2015, archaeologists from Tel Aviv University swam down to the island. So hold that thought. I didn't know there really was an island there, but everyone else knew it, and it was called PVB. Fine. So I didn't know it, so I can't prove. So no one got the idea of the island from me, right? However, um, I was the first one to say there was a Stonehenge down there, right? Because the archaeologists swam down to PVB, and they said, "Hey, there's a Stonehenge down here," and they said that they published that in an article in a leading archaeological journal in 2015, and I published it myself in my book in 2013. So the question is, how did I know that there had been an island off the west coast of Sicily with a Stonehenge on it? And I'm saying I knew it because in walking through Chichen Itza, once I realized, or at least once I concluded that the place was a map of the Western Hemisphere, I saw the shin of Italy, then I saw the foot of Italy, and like okay, and then I saw that Italy had once been connected to Sicily, which is apparently is a theory. I'm like okay, and then Sicily was connected to this other little island thing, and I'm like, well, there's no little island off Sicily, at this point, which I interpreted to mean that the Mayas were saying there used to be, right? Because that's what they were showing us on their map, and lo and behold, right? So I was right. And I never even set foot in an archaeology class. I mean, I've been reading and studying on my own. But anyway, so here's how I concluded that there had been Stonehenges, that there had been at least one Stonehenge on PVB, the island that had sank off the west coast of Sicily 10,000 years before the Mayas put it on their map. Because archaeologists found what these little guys that you're looking at, they're called tables. And in other words, these are miniature versions of what you'd see at the England Temple, which is the platform of the big tables. So that means these would be small Stonehenges, smaller Stonehenges than the ones in England. And each two guys, I think, would have had a slab, so that it formed like the Greek letter pi, and just like Stonehenge with two uprights and one horizontal, and so that's how I concluded that there had once been a Stonehenge on PVB, is because of this image. And let me just say this: the Mayas just didn't get things wrong, or whoever these people were, they didn't get things wrong. Let's talk Iberia. So here's Iberia. Look at the left-hand side, look at the right-hand side, and the point is, right where they put that image, that replica of sea caves, that's right where the sea caves are at the Algarve in Portugal. Same shape, same. Right. In other words, on the image on the right, imagine a few feet of water, and there you go. Here's a worse picture of it, taken with a cheap disposable camera. My first trip to Chichen Itza. I didn't know what this place was. Okay, thank you for listening.